Hello, it's Ivaldi and Sako here. Welcome to the Ivaldi Sako podcast. In this episode, we're going to see what I learned from spending 2 hours with a very powerful man. Now, I can tell you who this man is. I'm going to tell you why later. But basically, this powerful person, this powerful man, old man, he has meetings with lots of very big, he has meetings with presidents. He has meetings with very important individuals, and I was able to spend 2 hours with this person. And I'm going to tell you about it. I'm also going to tell you about some other things, some lessons that I learned this week. Because if you're new here, my name is Ivaldi Sako. I'm the founder of alreadygrowth.com, and here I help ambitious entrepreneurs build an empire, live a great life, and learn from the mistakes and lessons that I go through. You know, I have some experience, and I tell you about what I learned during my week in this episode. Now, this one is a little special because I'm talking about mostly this situation, this person, but I still document what I learned to help you become truly free and successful. This is the goal of this podcast, of this YouTube channel as well. So if you want to become truly successful and free, I suggest you subscribe because you're going to get a lot of value from this. Now let's get into it. So, what I learned from this powerful person, from this powerful old man. First, I need to give you some context. This person, how did I even come into contact with him? So, his family, basically. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't come from money. I don't have people that are around me with money. I was not born in money, right? At all. Much the contrary. And, but this person, is one of the few person that has, built himself up. And I don't know too much this guy, this man. He's actually a half brother of someone in my family. Like, he's not full, like, we don't have exactly the same blood, if you want. So I don't know him too much, and he's old. He's like 70, 75 years old, something like this. And I saw him because it was like kind of a family gathering, and I was not able to ask him a lot of questions. But because he was tired and he was like very busy and he was like, he had a lot of things to do. Everybody wants to talk to this person, but I was able to notice how he behaved, what he said, the few things that he said, because the first thing I think that really like is obvious. It's that he's silent. He's very silent. He doesn't talk much, and you can sense his power because of this. Like he's kind of famous. Like, I'm not telling you who it is because I don't know. I want to be able to speak freely and not have to, just, not say a few things because he might see this video and he might not want people to know about this, or I don't know, right? So, but he's a little famous, especially in the community. He's like, he has to shake a lot of hands, right? He has meetings. He has one meeting with the president of France, like not long, in a few days, I think. So, yeah, he's silent, and he doesn't care. He doesn't give a single, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about anybody, right? How anybody is going to perceive him. Like, I'm talking like zero care. Now, maybe it's because when I saw him, he was very tired. Like, he doesn't have much time at all. So when I saw him, it was 2 different times for 2 different dinners. And pretty quick dinners, right? It was like, we see him, 10 minutes, and then he eats, and then 10 minutes. So it's like half an hour. It's not even maybe 2 hours. It's like maybe 1 hour and 30 minutes in total, right? 45 minutes per meal, and that's it. And he doesn't waste time because he's got to eat, right? He is going to spend this time with us while he eats, and he doesn't care at all about anyone, right? So we were taking pictures with him just because it was like a family gathering, right? Everybody was there, and we were taking pictures, and he was kind of the middle because it was a special occasion. He came, and he just didn't even pay attention to the camera, like at all. He doesn't, like, we were like, for example, the camera is like on the right. He doesn't turn his head to the right, like he doesn't care. He barely turns his eyes toward it, and he doesn't smile. He doesn't care. He smiled to me when I said to him hi, right? I said to him like, hello, welcome, right? And he smiled. I got one smile when I just met him for the first time since years, when I was a baby, maybe when he saw me last time. And at the end, right? So I think it's the most important times, right? You start with a smile and you end up with a smile. But all the other interactions, he barely smiled, he barely talked at all. And it might be because he was tired, but I think it's also something that powerful people do, right? And you could sense he was like powerful in the room. Like everyone was turned toward him. Everybody's body language was toward him, right? And he didn't really care, just at all. He talked slowly, very slowly. Maybe also because he's old, but I don't know. It's also something like politicians do, right? He's like in politics somehow, because he meets with a lot of big leaders of countries. And so that's the first thing. He doesn't care much about other people, and I think it's because he cares so much about his mission. He has, like, you can't not care about nothing. He cares so much about something that everything else just becomes like kind of meaningless. Like he doesn't care. What are going to people to say? What are people going to say about him? Sorry. What are going to be? What go? I'm tired, guys. Sorry. English is not my native language. I'm trying to just get it together. He doesn't care. Like everything else, palish. Like it's just like, it's not important compared to his mission, right? And so he just doesn't care. I'm repeating myself so much right now. I feel it, but it's just like, I don't know how to say it. Like how much he doesn't care. He just, like, he could say anything to him. He was like, he would just not say anything. We were taking a picture with him. He was not even looking at the objective of the camera. Nothing. He doesn't care. And I think it's because he has a lot of care in another area of his in his mission, right? His career is like, it's something important. He's fighting for something, and so everything else just becomes really like, it's not a problem, right? Everything else, like, what are people going to say? I don't care. I don't even, like, he also just saved as much energy as possible, I think, because he was like not moving, like barely moving his hands. When you were like shaking his hand, he just like hand you his hand and you just you shake it. He doesn't shake. He just like, maybe it's because he's old and tired, right? Might be this, but I don't think it is. I think it's like some habit that he needs to have because of his lifestyle. Like he has to talk to a lot of people, and if he has to turn the head every time to just have a picture here on the right, have a picture there on the left, picture here, like, it's just too much. So he just erase it all together. Another thing is that I noticed he said some things when he talked. He was like a politician. Like he was like kind of in the middle, right? So I told him like, yeah, I don't eat anything else but meat. And I was like, well, it's everybody has his specialty. His body reacts differently, right? He's got this nuance incorporated in him. Now, I think he doesn't have he has an opinion. He has a strong opinion actually on certain things that matters to him, but on anything else, he's just like, okay, it's like this could be possible, this could be possible. It doesn't really matter. And at one point, someone left, and he talked on this person's back. And so I noticed, I was like, whoa, that's weird. He's like talking shit on this person. Sorry for swearing. He's like talking badly about this person when they left. Like it was normal. Like he just, what, like you care about this? You don't care about everything else, but you can't prevent yourself from just saying bad stuff behind this person's back. And now what he said was kind of right? But you don't have to judge this person, especially like criticize this person in front of everybody else. You don't have to do it. So I know it's like, okay, this person, like, he has a lot of success, he has like a lot of power, but he's still not perfect, right? And I don't know, to me it felt like, okay, this is like, this felt kind of liberating to me. Like, I don't need to be perfect to succeed. I know this might seem obvious, but sometimes you just idealize the person you're trying to become, and you think you're trying to be the perfect human being with no flaws, nothing. When you succeed and you achieve a certain level of success, and I was like, he definitely has achieved a lot. He's like, maybe not on top of the mountain, but he's very close to it. And it frees you. Like, okay, you don't need to be perfect in order for you to be successful and achieve at a high level. You don't need to be a good person at all. Because I sensed a lot of negative energy from this guy, from this old man. I'm saying old man like he's absolutely not from my family. But I don't know him too much, right? He's related to my grandfather. And so yeah, not even fully like, so anyway. What intrigued me was that he is not, like, I didn't sense genuinely like good vibes from him. Like, I can sense people. I'm pretty good at sensing and feeling what people have, like their emotions and how they behave. And I could sense this, like, he has something negative. Now, maybe it's because he has a lot of problems in this period. It might be. And so he has a lot of, like, he doesn't care about anything, and kind of a negative energy coming from him. But at the same time, no, not at the same, like, he has this negative energy, and I noticed it because also when the other person that he talked on when he was gone came back, we were watching something on TV, right? Some political thing on TV, and the guy that came back said, "Oh, I don't like this guy," and he was like, "Oh," and joking, he was like, "Oh, you want me to take it off for you? You want me to just make him go away for you?" He was like laughing, right? But I think there was something behind this joke. He wanted to show off his power, right? Because this person kind of bothered him. This is what he talked about behind his back. When he was gone, he was like, this guy is always talking about himself. But the joke was not just a joke, I think. The joke felt like there was something behind it. He was trying to show off his power. He was trying to, okay, you see, look, I'm powerful. And this person is small in size. And I think a lot of people that are small in size, oftentimes they have they want to compensate in some way, because they, obviously when you are like very tall, you're in a position of dominance between, like, compared to someone that is very short. Like, you're looking at them down, and basically you're just like obviously like stronger. Not in all cases, and depending on the size, of course, but most of the time, someone that is like 6 feet and someone that is 5 feet, the person that is 6 feet has kind of like a dominance on the person that is 5 feet, 5 foot. And he's very small. Like, he's smaller than me, and I'm not that tall. And I think he has something to prove. I think his motivation is not only to achieve his mission, which is seemingly a good mission. I think it is a good mission, but he's got also some kind of drive that drives him, like, to actually push himself, to actually, like, he's got such a busy schedule. Like, you don't know how much it can be, like, hard, and like every day he's supposed to be kind of on a vacation, but he's not. Like, he's got people, like a chauffeur. He's got, like, he came in from the other countries in business class, and someone drives him everywhere. He doesn't drive. He just sits on the back seat, and someone drives him all the time. There's always someone with him, and yeah, he's never alone. He's got someone that took a hotel suite next to his room in his 5-star hotel. And yeah, this is kind of like the person, but he has this internal drive that makes him want to push himself. I think and maybe there is for you as well, this internal drive to prove something, this chip on your shoulders. And I think it showed up as well because when he came, he was wearing a gold ring, a big gold ring. And so this, like, you could see, like, there was power behind it, right? You could see, like, it cost a lot of money, of course, but not only that, he has, like, power. He was dressed, of course, like, kind of in a suit. And yeah. And this made me think, okay, I want to be successful, I want to be powerful, but I still want to be able to not make people feel like they are nothing. I don't want to make people feel like they're too much, like, under me. Or not at all under me, actually. Or maybe it's depending on the people, of course. Some people, if they just, like, talk bad on me, I want to make them feel, okay, hey, you know, I assert my dominance there. But you know, you can just, I think this drive that he has allowed him to actually get this successful. He was not at all. He was not coming from any money neither, right? He had no money, came from Iraq, and just built himself up. And so I was like, okay, I need to figure out what drives me as well. What drives me, like, truly. And the way you can figure out what drives you is by asking yourself why you're doing something. Why are you doing what you're doing? What made you feel like a slave? What made you feel very bad? I heard a quote one day. I don't know where it was from, but it said, life shows you circumstances, life shows you circumstances, opportunities, and people to tell you where you are not free, right? And so maybe there's someone in your life that has, or maybe you have come across someone that made you feel very bad and like you were not free, right? Like you were some kind of shameful about something, or you were afraid, and it shows you this, like, sentiment of you're not free. Like, you can't do what you want to do, and you don't feel good. To me, for example, at one point it was one of my cousin telling me, well, Ivaldi, you still don't have any clients. Well, you better but you better get moving, right? And I was like, my hands were injured and I couldn't like work too much. And so I was like mad. I was like so angry. I didn't tell him. I was like, oh yeah, I know. But inside I was burning. Inside I was like, just wait until until I ridicule you. I will ridicule you and your money. I will just, I will prove you wrong. And this kind of energy that drives the negative drive. And I think he has this. Maybe he was running from something, or maybe he was working toward a certain, like, nobody can touch me anymore. Nobody can touch me anymore. And I think this is a lot of time powerful people are, anyone, when we grow up, we often just grow up into the person that are, ourselves when we were a kid needed, right? So if you were a kid and you were bullied, you become older and you become stronger, and maybe you become a bodybuilder because you didn't want anybody to mess with you anymore or mess with your family anymore, right? You have some kind of trauma when you were a kid or something that you didn't like, and you overcome for it. When I was a kid, we didn't have any money. And so I was like, never again will we be broke. I will not be broke. I will never let money cause any problems anymore. And so this is why I'm making money, right? I'm building myself up to save this little kid that I was. And I was listening to Will Smith autobiography. Now, I don't care what Will Smith did or anything, like, it doesn't matter. He did this autobiography before actually the incident happened. And, I don't care. Everybody makes mistakes, right? This was a big one, but actually I was able to understand Will Smith by reading his autobiography. I was like, oh, this is why he did that. Oh, I understand him. I understand why he did that. And he did that to actually prove that he was not a coward, because this was a fear of him and a kind of a traumatic experience that he had when he was a kid of being a coward. He had the opportunity to be courageous, and actually he says this in his book. His father hit his mother when he was a kid, and he was the only person capable of doing this, capable of stopping him. He was there. He was the older brother, and he didn't do anything. He was scared. He was too scared to do anything. And in his mind, he was like feeling like a coward. And this was a constant theme in his childhood. And so you see this guy that hits Chris Rock is trying to prevent himself from feeling like a coward, right? He was like, I'm not going to be a coward. I'm going to protect my wife, right? And this is why he did that. I'm not saying this was a good thing at all. I'm not saying that. But you understand where it's coming from. It's really interesting. And Will Smith was grew up and was trying to make up for this feeling of being a coward. And when he was a kid, he was dealing with this way by having a lot of humor, right? Making jokes and making people feel like everything's okay. And he grew up, he had this desire to be successful because he told himself when he was a kid and we saw that his father was in charge. And so this is what happened. His mother got hit by his father. And he was like, one day this will never happen again because I will be in charge. I will have enough money. This drives him to become successful. And this was not the only thing. He also talks about how he was disciplined thanks to his father, how he was educated thanks to his mother, and how he had faith and he had love thanks to his grandmother that was really like a die-hard Christian and followed Jesus Christ. And which I think is great. Because I'm a Christian myself, and I think it's just like one of the best things that you could have. And this was interesting. If you had to take something from it, like you can see, okay, if you want to seem powerful, be silent. Like being silent and not needing to please anyone and really not care makes you seem powerful, because it is actually what powerful people do. And having this drive and noticing what drives you really like will make you push yourself and accomplish a lot more things. I know it does for me. So I would suggest, like, ask yourself this question: what drives you truly? What circumstances, and maybe in your childhood, made you feel not free? Made you feel like you had problems? Made you feel like you had to make up for something? Made you maybe have a sense of like you have a chip on your shoulder? Like this negative energy, I don't know if I should use it too much, because it makes you have a little bit more stress and anxiety. But sometimes I think it's a good like, if you 10% of the time you just like dig into this negative energy, and then 90% of the time you're just trying to help, trying to achieve your mission, trying to have this positive energy. But if you just have the negative energy, man, just use it. Use what you get. Use what you got. I know I use what I got, and actually, this is why it's not sometimes healthy, because it drove me to work 12 hours a day on the computer, and which ended up injuring my hands. And so I couldn't work on my business anymore because I worked too much because of this negative energy. I was like, let's go. It's money time. Let's go. It's now. And so I was like working. And next thing you know, I just didn't pay attention to my health anymore, and boom, I'm injured. I can't work anymore. So I think 10% of the time, or maybe 20% of the time, to have like this negative energy, just because it kind of becomes boring a little bit when you're just trying to have a positive outcome. It's just all positive, good. Sometimes having a little bit of negativity, like, it puts oil on the fire and let's go. And then it allows you to just accelerate, and then you keep going with this momentum that you got from the negativity with your positivity. I think it's a good thing. Now, I think I covered everything about this powerful man. Now I'm going to tell you about a few other lessons that I learned, which I think will be very useful. So the first thing is that I started 2024 by planning my year. A lot of people don't do this, and I have an Excel sheet where it's like a calendar, and I can see in a very like practical manner the whole year. And I put myself some goals for the new year, right? For like in 2024, I wanted to have this accomplished. I also made my point on 2023, what happened, what didn't happen, what was good, what was wrong, what I enjoyed most. And guess what? The things that I enjoyed most in 2023, it was not growing my business. It was not making more money. It was actually the experiences I had. And I actually hesitated to, like, I did a backpacking trip to Portugal. Across Europe, we went to like south of France, Portugal, multiple cities there, and then again south of France, and then back to Paris. And this was the best thing I did this year. This was the best experience. This was the thing I enjoyed most this year. And I almost did not do it for business growth. So I'm happy I did that. I don't know if I would have had regrets not having done that, because I would have not known how much like joy I would have gotten from this experience. I really enjoyed this time. Also, the second thing was going on vacation with my family in Spain. These were the two highlights of my year. Simply. And the other things that made my year great was just really discipline. Like, this was the main thing. Like consistently working on my business, being extremely disciplined. Like, I'm talking like unwavering focus, being like, for 3 months, for example, I did a carnivore diet. So this was one of the wins of my year. I did a carnivore diet, which was extremely hard to start. Like, the first week I wanted to like literally cry for sugar. Like, I was craving it like a real addict. I'm telling you, it's like we all have a bad addiction to sugar. And when you really cut it off, I'm talking even vegetables. If you just eat meat, let me tell you, it's gonna be hard. Especially if you're like eating a lot of sugar. Like to me, I was not even eating that much sugar. The only sugar I was eating really was rice, maybe pasta, and very dark chocolate, like 90% dark chocolate. This was the sugar that I had. And it was not a lot. And when I cut this back, and cut back the vegetables as well, and just went only meat, and I also reduced my calories by a lot, because, you know, the sugar has a lot of calories. No carbohydrates, nothing. Just meat. I was craving it so bad. And so I was so proud of myself that I allowed myself to really enjoy my birthday, and I went to see a movie, and I really like this was like I went to eat at a restaurant. I went to eat a good burger, and this was the third best moment of my life. This year of my year, I was like, the best thing, backpacking trip. Second thing, vacation with my family. Third thing, like high discipline, very hard work, and then, the reward. I did that. I'm proud of myself, and for the first time in, I don't remember really when I was really proud of myself. I was like, you did something really hard, because oftentimes I don't put a lot of value on the things I do. Like I'm taking, like, for example, I've been taking cold showers for like five years, something like this, consistently every day. But I don't put value on it, so I don't really realize, it's a good thing, Ivaldi. I never say this to myself. My self-talk is oftentimes negative. Like, come on, dude, you can do better than this. You can do better than this. But this time I was like, dude, this, I have the memory. I know how hard this was, and you kept going. And so I was really proud of myself for this, and this was the highlight of my year. And so when I was seeing, okay, what did I do this year? How I will improve for next year? I wrote down, okay, these are the areas I want to improve on, and these are my next goals. And so my next goals, I actually planned them, and I plotted them on my yearly map, right? My yearly calendar. And so I know, okay, in March, this needs to happen. In June, this needs to happen. And I have all my goals with an exact date, right? And I don't attach myself to the date, because these goals are worth achieving even next year. Like if I don't do this year, if I don't achieve them this year, if I do them next year, or even in 5 years, it's still worth it to me, because they're really important to me. They're pretty big goals. But I've still put some dates on it. And why did I do this? Because 2023, what I did was, for example, one of my goals was to be completely healed of my pollen allergy. And I was like, I don't want to take any treatment. I don't want to do all this like BS. I want to be healed naturally. And this was one of the hardest things I did. I was like trying to figure out how to do it and everything. And then I stumbled upon the carnivore diet. And this actually healed me. And I put on my calendar, even before knowing anything about carnivore diet, anything like this. I didn't even do any research. I just knew I wanted to be healed by this time. I wanted to be healed by the 1st of April. And I put this on a date. I put this on my Google Calendar, as well as on my calendar on my Excel sheet. And it came true. I promise you the exact date. I just realized, I was telling my brother, I was like, I have not felt so healthy in years. I was like feeling so good, and there was pollen outside. Believe me, I know. And my brother was feeling the pollen, but me, I was like feeling so good. I was breathing pure air, not feeling bad at all. I was feeling the healthiest I've ever felt. And this was 1 month, 30 days after being like going completely like all meat, just meat. And I started it in like beginning of March, and the 1st of April, I was like healed. And then I was like looking at my calendar and noticing, I had planned this, and it's actually happened. I didn't mean to get it done exactly this date, but it happened exactly on this date. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to use whatever power this is, because maybe this, like, my mind is going to focus on that. I put all my goals on my calendar. I want to make this much money by this time. Okay, this is how the team is going to be at this moment of the year, right? At this time, I don't know if I don't want to talk about my goals, because when you talk about it, you know, it messes, like, it makes you feel like you've achieved it, kind of. And so I don't want to talk about it. I just keep my goals to myself. I'm going to achieve it, and I like to exceed expectations, right? Oh my God, how did he do all this, right? And so I put my goals. I want to maybe travel to Australia as well this year, because, like, the best experience I had last year was traveling, and so I'm going to travel next year. Like, I can't miss any. Like, there will not be 1 year where I will not travel, and hopefully I'm going to be able to do this maybe every weekend, something like this, maybe once a month, and go somewhere, maybe just for a couple of days, because like, this actually makes you grow more. And I put everything on the map, and so I suggest you do the same. See your goals and put them on your map for the year, so that you know by this time this is going to happen. By this time, okay, I'm here. And this makes you really also work faster, work better, because you know, if you do more actions, you can actually do this. And if you don't put in the work right now, you're just extending the time frame. And so you don't want this to happen, because it can happen, like, it can go for a very long time. So yeah, this was one of the things I did this week. And also I listened back to usually I don't listen to this kind of podcast, because I listen to the original podcast, and then, you know, some podcasts like Ed Milet, they do a recap of the best things that people said on his podcast. And usually I don't listen to them, but this time I did. I was like, let's see, right? Because I don't want this bias because I never do this, I should never do this, right? I listened to it, and it reminded me of very good things. And this is what also the value of this podcast. I try to remind you more than I try to teach you, right? We need to be reminded more of the things that we usually know, but actually don't apply. And so when you learn something, you should change your behavior. Sometimes we know something, but we haven't changed our behavior, so we need to be reminded to actually change it. And so I was reminded of Jason Derulo saying something about, like, choosing your competition wisely. And I noticed because maybe you're trying to compete with people, and this prevents you from growing. If you choose the wrong competition, you might not be able to achieve your goal. Because if you, for example, like me, I was comparing myself, like, kind of being in a competition with my cousin. But I don't want to be at my cousin's level. My cousin is never going to achieve my goals. He's not going to be able to get to this league of success that I want to get to. So I should not compete with him. Why would I compete with him? Because if I compete with him, I'm limiting myself to what he can achieve, or what I think he can achieve. But if you want to, he was saying, like, if you want to play in the NBA, you should not have competition. Your neighbor, right? Your neighbor that you play basketball with your neighbor, this should not be your competition, because it's limiting you. You can't, like, you can win the competition and still not get to the NBA. So choose your competition wisely. And I was also reminded of another person. Oh, John Maxwell. He said in his communication podcast and in his book that silence underlines the words that you say. So, for example, the powerful man that I told you about, he used silence a lot, and you could sense his power, because when he talked, everybody listened. When he talked, oh, okay, he's talking. And this is because he used silence. And so when you just try to make a point, if you use silence, you can put more weight on the words, and also, like, the word that you say at the end of the sentence that you, the last word that you use, and you use a silence after it, it makes this word being repeated in your mind. Just like I'm doing right now, in your mind, and you try, like, there's something else that comes to mind. You have some ideas, you have time to think about it. The word has time to sink in your mind to really digest it. And so it makes your communication just so much more effective. And the other thing is something that Jewel, I think it's a singer, she's called Jewel. I don't know her too much, but she said something that was very useful. She was having panic attacks, and so she was trying to fix that. And at one point, she was like, "Okay, you know what?" She heard a quote of someone saying something along the lines that you can know what you think by following your hands. So if you are scratching yourself, you're thinking, maybe not thinking, but having something that makes you do this with your hand. This was a quote that she heard, and it made her actually think of trying to follow her hands for the entire day, and follow exactly what she does with her hands the entire day. And when she did that, she realized at the end of the day she had no panic attacks. And the reason is because she was truly present. And following her hands, being aware of what she did every single moment of her day, allowed her to be present, and so she had no panic attacks. And this was the first time she realized, okay, the power of being present. And so if you're having struggle being present, or you're having panic attacks, you have anxiety, try to become aware of every single moment of your day. And also, this also allows you to catch your distractions, or the moments where you're not completely really productive, you're procrastinating. When you watch every day, for example, you could do actually this. Every hour, or maybe every 30 minutes, you put an alarm clock or something like a timer. So every 30 minutes, you just write down exactly what you did during these last 30 minutes. And this allows you to see exactly what you did during the day, because at the end of the day, you forgot. Okay, I got distracted at this moment, but on the moment, in the day, you know. And so you can have data, very good data to see, okay, and I suggest you do this for a week to actually see the patterns fully. And when you see those patterns fully, it allows you to just like, okay, at this moment, I'm going to put a reminder to not go on social media. At this moment, I'm losing my temper, I'm getting distracted, I'm getting tired. I'm going to put some action in place to counter it. And this allows you to be present. This allows you to be more focused and actually like see what bottleneck you're having in your personal life. Maybe you're just not present. And so you catch yourself, when do I not become present anymore? And then you have it. Like she did that by following her hands. I don't really see how I could follow my hands. I think for me, it might not work, but actually writing things down, this will work. And this will allow me to be more present. And maybe you too. Another thing is that I listened to 0 to 1, the audiobook. And I thought this would be very useful to me. It would be like a really great book. It's recommended by every successful person. I'll read 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. It's just great. And yet to me, I found it completely useless. I found 0 to 1 completely useless. And you know what? The reason is that I was not in a season in my life where I needed this knowledge. I didn't need this knowledge at this moment of my life. At this moment of my life, I was grinding in the business. I was not trying to figure out what is the next opportunity, right? And 0 to 1 it really allows you to do more of this, of seeing like what's the next big thing, where can you grow more. Right now, I was in the day-to-day mist of like hustle. And so to me, I lost, like my interest got lost very quickly in the book. And so I didn't learn anything. So the next time, I will remind myself to read only to solve actually my problems of now. Like, what problems do I have right now? I'm going to read to actually solve it. Now, I think for biographies, for example, like Will Smith, it's just like the audiobook of Will Smith, like the biography. it's just an insane audiobook. It's just very good. I think it's one of the best I listen to. And it like he tells you, like, he has just insane storytelling, and he puts you in the mood. He just, like, you feel like you're watching a movie just by listening. And I think for this kind of audiobooks, for example, it's good. You don't need to be in a particular moment of your life to be listening to it. At least to me, I don't need it. But for more technical knowledge, or maybe books more precisely on business, I think this is useful. I think this is very useful to have a problem, have a goal, and try to get there using the books that you read. Like, going through the book, knowing what you're looking for, knowing why you're reading this book. Because if not, you really lose interest very quickly. At least I do. And and Will Smith's audiobook, by the way, one of the best lessons I learned, I was reminded of, was when his father made him and his brother build a wall of bricks, right? And they were going after it, and it was hard, and Will got tired. He got tired of it. He was like mad that his father was like, this wall will never going to be built. It's going to take too long. It's too hard. And his father got mad as well, and he was like, stop focusing on the wall. Focus on one brick at a time. And he was like, whatever, right? He was like mad. But after that, he realized, brick by brick, he just focused on one brick. Next thing you know, the build was wall. The wall was built. And this is what you got to do in business as well. Like, it's really overwhelming. You feel like it's never going to happen if you just focus on the end goal. But if you focus on the task at hand right now, just this one thing, you just do this, and then you trust it's going to happen. You do this again. Alex Hermosi says, chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water, right? Just do the boring work, and you do it, and you do it, and you do it, just a small task, one by one, and then it builds up a big wall. And this is how I actually built my company. Like, this is how I did it. It was so hard. At one point, I was like so overwhelmed with all the things that I need to do. Even sometimes right now, I have so many things on my plate. I just focus on, okay, what's the most important thing right now? I think it's this, and then it's that. Okay, I'm focused on first thing. I get it done, then next thing. And when you do this, it's easier. And so when you have a big task as well, try to just divide it into smaller parts. When you divide it into smaller parts, you focus on the first part, then the second, then the third, and the fourth, and it goes smoothly. And it's easier to get things done like this. And so I think this was one of the most useful things which he tells you about in the very first part of his audiobook. And the other things was the thing I talked to you about with the powerful man in my family, about the fears that you have, and the kid that you are. You oftentimes grow up to save or to make up for what your childhood didn't have, right? So he tells you okay, when he was a kid, he felt powerless. He felt like he was not in charge, so he wanted to be in charge. So his fears created his desire, and his desire led to his actions, which led to his results. And so he tells you also that in the movie, a character, when you create a character, it's very important to know what he fears, because what he fears is going to dictate his desire and his actions. And so you're going to be able to, act more properly when you know what fears someone has. For target clients, for example, if you're trying to sell something, it's very important to know people's fears, right? When you know people's fears, you know what desire they have, and you can put your offer, your product and service in between their fears, their current situation maybe, and the desired situation. And so this is very useful as well to, remind yourself of. And the last thing I did was, I was looking at I had a bias on a guy named Brian Johnson, something like this. It's a guy, he wants just to live forever. He wants to live like up to 120 years. He's the youngest 50-year-old in like metabolic age, something like this. He's like trying to hack longevity. And I was really biased. I didn't like the way he looked in the thumbnails of YouTube's, and so I never watched his videos. But at one point I was like, why do I keep having this bias? Why do I not, like, I keep judging him, and I just, maybe he has something to teach me, right? I mean, he's got like plenty of views. He's got a very successful company. I didn't even know about it. And I was like preventing myself from learning from him because I was not liking the way he appeared. I never listened to one of his words. So I then went on and just opened my mind. Let's go. Let's see what he has to teach me. Let's see what he says. And I was pleased to see, okay, he has a lot of good things. And one of the things he tells you, I saw a video about how he makes sure he has great posture, right? So I would not fit in this video if I had great posture. So he was having such a great posture that I was like, okay, I need to better my posture, because the way you position your head, and you just, oftentimes, I'm often like going down with my head and looking at my phone, and we're all doing this. And this is very bad, because it actually can prevent the good function of your nerves and your blood flow vessels to actually bring oxygen in your head, in your brain. And so this is will create brain fog, for example. And so your posture is very important. So I'm trying to keep my posture really good. And funny enough, this week I tried to really pay attention to my posture. And next thing you know, I did the opposite somehow. I was like trying to maintain a great posture for like 1 minute, and then I was tired, and so I just had an even worse posture after that. So I think it's something to train, but I think when you have a great posture, it actually like also creates like more confidence in you, and you feel like you can move better, and so you are more confident, and you take more actions, and it's actually very useful. Anyway, if you liked this podcast, if you found it useful, find it like the reminders of it were cool, were useful to you, like, subscribe, share it with a friend, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. And subscribe, right? Bye-bye.